Welcome to this presentation. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about some of the most important techniques that you need to learn and implement in order to get excellent scores in IELTS. We are going to talk about all the sections one by one. So let's start with listening. The most important thing in listening is to be attentive because you get to hear the content only once. If you miss something, you miss something. You just have to go to the next part. So it is very important that you be attentive during the listening test. The second thing is that during the test, you can adjust the volume. In fact, it is good to adjust the volume at the beginning of the test. Adjust it to the point which feels comfortable to you. So, yeah, you can increase or decrease the volume according to your own level of comfort. In section 3, they usually change the answer. Don't go with the first thoughts or the first opinions mentioned there. Please listen to the end of the audio very carefully because they do change the answers. And if you quickly pick up something which matches the right answer but is not the right answer, you would end up losing marks there. Keep taking notes, but don't go too much on this. Don't go for an overkill. You cannot write everything. But yes, in case the content is a little alien and you think that taking notes would help you to have some hints for later decisions, you can always take some like 2 to 3 word notes about the specific question. Important is that you just keep on moving. Use process of elimination in case you have got MCQs where you are not sure. Eliminate the incorrect choices rather than thinking of what would be the right choice. But yes, it is a very, it's more about reflexes than intelligence or intelligibility. It's about how quickly you take decisions. But yes, you can eliminate the wrong choices. You can write down like A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4 on a piece of paper and keep on putting crosses against the options which do not make sense. And you can then later transfer that content into the answer sheet. Pay attention to the tone or context. Sometimes the meaning is hidden in the tone. So you should see whether the person is favoring something or he's against something or he's neutral. So the tone of what is spoken is more important than the content itself for a few questions. Use the cross and tick method as I just told. You can write down the options and simply cross and tick like these could be the probable answers so that it will help you to take decisions later. Listen to podcasts and native speeches on a daily basis. It's very important that you make it a part of your daily life. Like for example, what I do is I do some exercises in the morning and I listen to some good content by Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs or something from TED or even from Sadhguru, although it is not very important from the perspective of learning the right accent. But yes, listening to some good content on a daily basis. Wyan Dyer is something whom I like. So there are so many other excellent speakers. Pick up some native speaker whom you like and listen to his content on a daily basis. You can hear podcasts, BBC Live, BBC Now, BBC 6 Minutes English. These are some good sources. Best of the participants, even those who come from excellent English speaking background, uh, practice on a daily basis. This I have seen multiple times. It's not something that you would achieve on a certain day. You have to build every day. You cannot just reach to a point where you're just perfect and don't need any kind of reinforcement. Even if you are excellent at English, even if you work in an English speaking environment, you have to uh, be in touch with good English on a daily basis so that your performance does not erode. So you have to practice on a daily basis. Okay, next let's move on to the reading section. In reading, you have to read a lot. Now, like recently, there is a girl who scored 9 bands in her IELTS test, and we were taking her interview. What she said was that she used to read content from different sources. So it was not just about IELTS books that you read. The more you read, the more adopted your brain gets to the reading habit. I mean, reading as such is an exercise. Like, for example, if you go for walking, you would in general develop a very good cardiovascular system, and it would help you perform any kind of sport. Like, say, I mean, in general, if somebody goes for a walk every day, let's say for an hour, or somebody does some kind of exercise and he's made to play badminton, his physical fitness itself will contribute to good performance in badminton. So if you read anything on a daily basis, it will help you perform better in a reading test, because it will help you to overcome that fear or phobia of reading. Reading, I see, is more like a phobia than a skill. So, in order to overcome that phobia, you have to read something on it. Take any piece of information and just try to read it in maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you gather. It does not matter whether you understand it or not. Just skimming through it, taking your eyes through those lines, those characters and words would help you to have an exercise of reading, and your brain will start functioning. It's like, giving a warm up to your mind. Okay, so it's very important that you develop this habit of reading. Be conceptually strong about MCQs. Like always, I always say that you should use process of elimination. We'll talk about this in detail. What it means is that rather than looking for the correct answer, you should look for the wrong answers and cut them off. So if you reduce your choices, if your scope is limited to, let's say, just one option or two options out of the three options, if you eliminate one choice out of three, the chances of success are 50-50 now, which were like 33% earlier. So out of two choices, if you select one, the chances of success are 50%. So eliminate the wrong choice so that you end up having higher chances of selecting the correct choice. There is no silver, for heading questions, the first line and the last line of the paragraph are important. We'll talk about a technique called as PEE, which stands for point, example, and explanation. So whenever you read a paragraph, try to understand what is the point, what is the example, and what is the explanation. Usually the heading questions are based on the point, and we think that explanation or example is the main point. Explanation and example is not the main point. Like, for example, if I want to talk about maintaining good health, that good health is extremely important. There are various ways of developing good health or maintaining good health. You can do yoga, you can go for morning walk, you can play some games, you can play kabaddi, football, and let's say the heading is football is good for health. Well, I am saying that football is good for health, but what I'm talking about is various ways of maintaining good health. All these examples are all pointing towards the ways of maintaining good health. So this is something which is super important, that you do not confuse the example for the concept. So the claim is something different, or the main point is something different, and an example, concrete example, is just an example. There's no silver bullet technique. People say that you should read the questions first or you should read the passage first. I would say there's no one single way of mastering the reading technique. You have to adopt various styles of reading and styles of answering questions based on the type of passage. So don't go with everyone's advice. I mean, try to see what works for you. And as I said, there is no silver bullet technique, or there is no silver bullet to master reading. You have to try different methods. So in computer-based test, one thing is that you don't have to worry about spellings. You can simply copy paste stuff from the passage to the answers directly, in case it's a fill up the blank sort of question. As far as writing is concerned, you can, one good way is by preparing some standard phrases. So writing is, if you talk about, let's say, an essay, there are some fixed situations. Like, for example, you have to write an introduction, you have to write a body, you have to write a conclusion. which means the match is already fixed. The phases of writing an essay are fixed. So we can have some phrases which can be written at the beginning of the essay, in the introduction, some phrases and structures for writing the body paragraphs, and some phrases and structures for writing the conclusion. So whenever you read an essay, think about, oh, this phrase looks like good for introduction, and this is nice for conclusion, and this can be a good structure of the body. We're going to talk about this in detail when we go through the course, but yes, this should be your goal when you're developing your writing skill, especially writing essays. You should think in terms of what is the structure rather than how the content is presented. The structure of the essay is more important. It's a test of English, it's not a test of your knowledge. Although knowledge also is important, uh, how convincing are your arguments is definitely important, but then more than that, you need to focus on how you present your ideas. So it's very important to focus on the structure of the essay, and learning phrases can be a great way. Yeah, and but again, as it is written here, do not become a slave of some structure. It looks very mechanical if you simply present ideas. I mean, too many of standard phrases, if they are there, long sentences where anybody could make out that this is just taken from some other essay and it is pasted here. You have to show your originality, your original thinking, and yeah, a mix of two, some templates and some original structures would make your essay score 8 or 9 in the test. Time management is the key. If I have to point out one important thing in writing, it would be how you manage your time. It's very important that you finish your first task in 20 minutes. Come what may, you have to finish it in 20 minutes. You cannot take more time, because if you don't get enough time to write an essay, you would obviously lose marks. You would be losing marks on not writing the conclusion, even if you have written a beautiful introduction and body and very logical arguments and very convincing arguments. You have to maintain pace there. Cannot ignore that. Learn a list of standard phrases, as we just, and yeah, you have to maintain them. Keep on writing them on a daily basis. Our mind tends to remember things that we repeat on an everyday basis. So you have to have some repetition task for every day. Revision is the key to remember. So please revise what you do. Don't think that if you have done it once, it would be done forever. Maintain a corrections log, and like a Hanuman Chalisa, please repeat it on a daily basis till it becomes a part of your permanent memory. Record your time while practicing, but do not rush. This is again important. Initially, simply record. Whatever is measured improves. So just record, just track your time. Do not try to be do not try to push yourself to finish something within the time limit. So if in case you take, let's say, 50 minutes to write an essay, it's okay. Just record it that you are taking 50 minutes right now. Don't try to push yourself until you are absolutely confident about it. First precision, then speed. Please remember this. First precision, then speed. Do not try to be fast doing the wrong thing, because you would learn the wrong thing faster in that case. So try to be slow, but do the right thing again and again till you develop confidence and proficiency in the right method of achieving success. Yeah, so use a mix of small and large sentences. In your writing, it is important that you show some complex sentences and some compound sentences. We are going to study them separately, so that will give us an idea of how to make our essay a robust one with regard to the criteria of grammar. So you can use a as I mean, what you should remember is that I should make some small sentences and a few long sentences. Automatically, a long sentence would be a complex or a compound sentence where you try to combine multiple thoughts, as I said right now. A long sentence would be a complex sentence where you, so when I say where you try to combine, I'm talking about another thought. I'm using a modifier here. So like this, a simple long sentence would qualify for either a complex or a compound sentence. So what you should remember is that you should write a combination of small and long sentences. Practice one section at a time. In case you are beginning your journey towards achieving 8 bands or 9 bands in IELTS, practice one section at a time. Do not go for all the sections together. But yes, you can divide days, like Monday is for reading and listening, and let's say Wednesday is for writing and speaking, and in between Monday and Wednesday, Tuesday is for revision. Like that you should plan. I'm going to share a plan with you. I already planned it, which will help you to structure your preparation in a way that in a month's time or maybe a month and a half's time, you are through with all the sections and you know what exactly it is. This is the part of the phase 2 of our program. All right, so use Google Map technique when you're writing. So many times what I've seen is many participants write conclusion first, which is a great way of telling your mind the last point. See, the beginning is the question. The question itself is the starting point. So you know where the journey starts. But if you write the conclusion, your mind would also know here the journey ends, and like a Google map, it will then help you to construct all the body paragraphs in a logical manner. So this is one good technique. Rather than writing the introduction first, write the conclusion first. Now let's talk about speaking. Speaking is a test where you are supposed to be very spontaneous. You cannot rely on your memory. You have to be a very natural speaker where the ideas flow fluently and naturally. You should be intuitive in your style and you should sound natural. So, yeah, your body language is again very important. You cannot, if you convey some lack of confidence through your body language, it's it tells about your own knowledge of English as well. So you have to use your body language, eye contact in a very, very positive manner in this test. The examiners are usually very supportive, but many times I hear that they did not allow you to speak or complete your sentence. See, there are many instances where the examiner would have certain things going on in his mind with regard to the evaluation criteria. So if he has got what he was checking for, he would not allow you to speak because it's a waste of time. Your time and his time is important. So don't get offended if the examiner does not allow you to complete your answer, and just be in the flow there. Yeah, one particular thing which people dread in the speaking part is section 2, that they may ask any question from anywhere. This is true that the question could be from any domain of life, but the questions are very generic. So my suggestion to you would be to make a list of 20 different instances of section 2, which is the cue card. So if you have some prepared answers for 20 cue cards, you can just use that content in any other cue card, because you would definitely not get the same cue card. However, the nature of cue card won't change. So let's say if you have prepared for speaking on picnics, you can very well speak about birthday parties also, because picnic is also like a party. So if you know how to describe a picnic, you can also describe a birthday party. In the picnic, we enjoyed a lot. All the family members and friends were there, and we played various games. It was a lot of fun, and this one day I could never forget in my life. I can say the same thing about your birthday also. So, if you prepare on, let's say, 10 or 20 different topics, it would be enough for you to speak on any topic for 2 minutes, because the context would change, but the content would be the same, So even if you, as I said, birthday and picnic are more like two parties. So it's important that you just prepare on a given set of topics. Yeah, again, it is important to be in practice of speaking. Listening is one good way. You can refer to 6 minutes English from BBC, and I have listed some other content, some other sources here, resources to develop your speaking. But yes, you have to practice on a daily basis. Make sure you give at least 2 to 3 hours to your practice on a daily basis for at least a month's time. It will take you to great heights. And don't consider this test just like a benchmark test for going to some foreign country. It's an opportunity to develop your English and, of course, develop your overall personality to a great extent. So, it's a great opportunity in front of you. In the name of preparing for IELTS, you would be preparing for a lot of things which are so very important for your life. So, please take it seriously and give time to it. Stick to the point, don't let your thoughts get derailed. It is very important to speak to the point. Recently, I was talking about this girl who scored 8 in speaking. In her earlier test, she scored 9 in speaking. The only thing which she did incorrectly, as she says this time, was she was not to the point. So you're supposed to be speaking very much to the point, and we'll see some techniques how to convey that you are speaking to the point. One quick tip which I can give you is use the same words which were there in the question in the first line of your answer. Let us say the question is, tell us about an experience of going to a foreign country. So, well, I went to England, which is one of the nations in Europe. So I went to, tell us about your experience, and I had great experience there. So, if I say that I went to England and I had great experience there, I'm using the same word experience. So this tells the examiner that I'm listening to the question very carefully. Some general tips. So your practice, your daily practice is important.